It's now time for the Ray Longo Minute.
I want you to punch a hole in his fucking chest. That's what I want.
The Ray Longo Minute.
Starring Ray Longo. The John, Anik, and Kenny Florian podcast.
This is exciting stuff. I've never done this before. It's a miracle. It's a miracle I'm even on here.
It really is. Well, I found you. You commented, which was a good thing to do. I found your comment, and I clicked on you and welcomed you into the chat. So here we are. Bilal Muhammad, UFC welterweight contender with the number 15 next to his name, does a video-only show on our Anik and Florian podcast YouTube channel. So that's coming up in about 20 minutes. But Ray and I are going to chop it up with you before we get there. So sorry about Sunday morning. I mean, I think I'm losing my stroke in terms of scheduling the show, and I'm losing my touch with it all. Having failed to book you on Sunday morning. So I apologize for that.
You guys fucked me, basically. Basically, that's what it comes down to. I mean, yeah, let's just talk street jogging for a while. Like the fuck. I mean, yeah,
you're all excited to talk about Glover Teixeira, and the call never comes in. So I appreciate you taking my call today. Before we get into Paul Felder and Merab and Aljo and anything else you got cooking, what'd you make of Glover Teixeira and what he was able to do against Thiago Santos, my man?
I mean, I got to tell you, John, just blown away by this guy. And again, I picked Santos to win. I said I want Glover to win, but I got to pick Santos. I am blown away by the amount of damage he can take, look like he's out, and still continue on with his game plan. To me, is absolutely phenomenal for a guy 41 years old. You know what I mean? And again, he's a great guy, one of the nicest guys you'll meet in MMA. But I got to tell you, man, I just couldn't believe it that he was able to implement his game plan against a very highly, touted, Santos. You know what I mean? It's crazy. I mean, it was just, I don't know. I was just blown away by, the guy just gave John Jones fits with two bad caps, you know what I mean? And he couldn't keep this guy off him. Unbelievable.
So it was interesting. The first thing he said in our post-fight interview was that he might have broken a bone in his face. Those few times that Santos connected in round one and obviously in round three appeared to do some damage. I haven't seen a medical update on Glover, but he didn't get out of it unscathed necessarily. But I don't know, man. You win 5 in a row. At this stage, I mean, nobody would have expected that he fought for the belt in 2014. Nobody would have expected that in 2020 he would be the number one contender. And as we sit here about to close the year, he's going to end the year as the division's number one contender.
And Johnny earned it. He earned it against good guys.
No doubt.
And crazy what he's done. The guy 100% deserves the title shot. What a great story this is, too. A guy that, got a late start because of all those visa problems he had. And now, who would have known? What would this guy have done if we would have seen him at 26 in the UFC? You know what I mean? We're seeing like an older guy who I think this is phenomenal, man. I really do. And it's different than, even if you looked at Anderson after, you kind of felt bad for him. And, he was having trouble breathing. This guy was very with it. He made the statements about, look, I think I broke a bone, which he probably didn't. But, look, he's a warrior. And this guy's a fighter. This guy loves to fight. He's there for the right reason. I can't say enough. I was blown away by what he did because in my head I saw it going the exact, like what happened to him when he got buckled at the beginning. And I thought that was going to be the whole fight. I didn't think he'd be able to really implement his game plan like that. And he did, man. He did because I think he loves fighting, and what he does really fucking good still.
No doubt. Well, he's getting better. I mean, this is well documented at this point if you watch the fight or listen to our podcast that he was miserable in training in 2018. Those were his words, not mine. And oftentimes I ask fighters either on our calls or in our Zoom meetings or in person, do you have any negative emotions when it comes to training? Because I can tell you, like, the worst part of my day oftentimes is working out, right? I get it in, but it's not my favorite part of the day. And for Glover Teixeira, something clicked, something changed. Negative emotions that he had in training in 2018, he doesn't have anymore. And that's been as much a key to his success as anything, So
I can't say enough good things. Like, again, it's just, I'm glad he found it. Imagine being 41 years old and having a new lease on life. He's going to fight for that title. And I'll tell you what, man, who's going to count him out? You know?
Well, and how about the fact that he settled in little-known Danbury, Connecticut, of all places,
Yeah.
small city, 50 miles north of New York City. Incredible story. One other Brazilian I want to get to on this card before we move on to Paul Felder and Dos Anjos and anything else you have. This bantamweight, Raoni Barcelos, who is 16-1. He's won 9 fights in a row. I wish there was something easy we could call him instead of Raoni Barcelos. But Barcelos stole the show as far as I'm concerned. Khalid Taha in defeat. Obviously, these guys as a pair stole the show. But the emerging athlete is Barcelos, who has won 9 in a row. And I feel like on any given Saturday night, he looks like an elite bantamweight to me.
Yeah, I'll tell you. And deservingly so, they got fight of the night because it was the fight of the night. Right. And the real deal, and I'll break a little news. I think it could be him and Merab, my guy Merab Dvalishvili.
Oh, wow.
December 5th. That could happen. I think that's in the makings right now. And what a great fight that'll be. You know what I mean? I know Merab wants to fight. He understands that the guy is super, super tough and talented, but he likes a challenge. And again, what I love about Merab is he's the type of guy, win or lose, he's not going to harp on it. He's just going to move on to the next thing. He's going to get better. And those are the guys you want, man. So if that happens, it's going to be a barn burner.
I mean, all I can think of is offense. And how could I possibly call that fight? Merab Dvalishvili potentially against Raoni Barcelos. That's a huge fight. And it speaks to everything Merab has been. And I know you talk about him so glowingly as a human being, but as a fighter, he's just like, bring it on, He could easily be undefeated in the UFC, as we were talking about earlier today. And it's like, he knows Barcelos, whomever, he's got to get through these guys. Let's go. I love it.
No. He 100% knows it, John. He's not saying, I can beat this guy. He knows it's going to be a tough fight. And I think he's one of those guys, he's up for the challenge and he wants to test himself. And I love that type of attitude. And, he's always going to be ready to fight. He's looking great. He was training for Cody Stamen. Right. Unfortunately, Cody got COVID, and hope he's doing better because he's a great dude also. So we'll see what happens. But that's what I was hearing, and that's who we're training for right now.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. A little breaking news here, Instagram Live. So you would go to Vegas then from December 2nd or so through the 14th, 13th, I guess, in that scenario.
Yeah, probably late November, right.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
And Aljo's already out there, obviously.
Aljo's already out there. He's doing good. He sends me his sparring. He has, oh my God, Eric Nixick watching over him. So, I know Eric a little bit. He seems like a great guy. And he's got people from the team there with him. So everything's good, man. And Aljo, Aljo's the type of guy, I'm kind of on the same page with him. We've cornered a lot together on the local level around here, and he's just he understands what he has to do better than anybody. He's very good at he's got a great fight IQ. He understands his strengths, his weaknesses, and he's going to be fine. No matter where he is. Yeah.
So excited. It's amazing how things could look at the end of the year relative to how they look right now. Khamzat Chimaev still has to get through Leon Edwards if he's going to, complete his picture perfect 2020, which is a huge task. One thing that I thought was interesting in this climate, and I don't know if you can speak to it necessarily, but Brendan Allen, right, was supposed to fight Ian Heinisch last week. It was either Heinisch or someone in his camp who tested positive for COVID-19, their final test of the week. So day of, fight day, live production, we're making changes. That fight is off. And now Brendan Allen is fighting Sean Strickland here in 2 days. And Ian Heinisch is fighting Kelvin Gastelum. I just saw on social media before we started here. It's just amazing in this climate, all the things that happen. Heinisch wakes up on fight day thinking he's got to get through this Brendan Allen problem. And make no mistake about it, that's a real hard fight, And now all of a sudden he gets this guy in Gastelum who won the Ultimate Fighter, has competed for interim championships. It's just amazing how, and for Brendan Allen this weekend, best of luck beating Sean Strickland. This sport is ruthless when you're not in the COVID-19 climate. And I thought it was interesting to see how all those middleweights kind of shook out.
Hey, listen, John, but one thing we learned in this climate is you got to be ready for anything and to be able to adapt on a dime, and again, I think even Aljo going back to Vegas, the way things are going, he might not have been able to get out to Vegas. Who knows? They're talking about locking down things now again and closing schools. It's who really knows? You know what I mean? Like, I go to Vegas, I don't know if I'm coming back. It's just
Right.
we
You may
don't
not
know.
be leaving.
I might
Yeah.
not be leaving. Yeah. So
That's interesting. Yeah. Well,
you know
no,
what
I mean,
so you have to think ahead. You have to have a contingency plan. I think that's most important. But yeah, like you say, with these fighters, I don't know. You're game planning for one guy, next time you got somebody else a week later.
and
Nuts.
the climate is ever changing, as you know, and at least as far as COVID-19 is concerned, whatever your respect for the virus is right now, it was not a good day in the United States, obviously, as far as the virus is concerned. So a couple other things on my docket here to get to. Time permitting, we'll figure out who Longo's favorite rapper is. But Paul Felder, right, is training for a triathlon March 14th in Miami, Florida. And as such, he was able to take a short notice opportunity here because his weight is low enough to actually fight Rafael dos Anjos on 5 or 6 days notice. This fight was bandied about prior. I think dos Anjos at times wasn't the most salivating an opponent for Felder because he had lost 4 of his last 5 and he had been competing at welterweight, and maybe Paul was looking for that big lightweight fight. But I think the short notice circumstance makes this fight very appealing for Paul Felder. And what's interesting to me is hearing how many people say Felder has a chance and how many are so dismissive of his chances because he hasn't really had what amounts to a training camp. So I wanted your thoughts on Felder stepping in and how competitive it might be this weekend.
Listen, 2 words for Felder: company man. I think he knows even moving forward, he steps up and saves the show. He's already doing great as an announcer. I think he locks himself in to a great future with the UFC. So I think it's strategically on a business end, I think it's a great move. And Felder's a fighter, man. I think it's a good move either way. He's going to be in shape, like you say, training for the triathlon. The guy knows how to fight. You know what I mean? He's been pretty active, I think, anyway. So his timing isn't going to be a problem. And I'll tell you what, I'm picking Felder to win that fight. How's that?
There you go. There you have it. It's plus 155 right now. When you said 2 words, I thought you were going to say Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, right? Because what I have said to him privately, as my dear friend and broadcast partner, and I go further back with Rafael dos Anjos, so he is very near and dear to my heart as well. But what I said to Paul privately was, don't expend too much energy on the media, to quote the great Valentina Shevchenko. And, a fight's a fight, right? And Paul Felder.
A fight's a fight, man. When you're a fighter, a fight's a fight. You don't know when you're going to get in a fight. You know what I mean? So, look, he's got the cardio. And if his weight's down, this could be a different Felder. Who knows? I'm excited to see what he does with that.
So let me ask you this, and I think he has a great chance to win, and for more reasons than one. We'll see if dos Anjos really tries to test him in the grappling realm early. It's a 25-foot octagon, which I think favors the grappler. But in terms of not having the sparring rounds, and Paul was doing a little bit of work last week, the week prior, and maybe the week prior to that. But there's not a lot of data for what does a guy do who's a top 10 lightweight in the world when he's training for a triathlon and he goes to try to compete in the UFC. Not a lot of data telling you what he can do in that setting, right?
Right.
Prevailing wisdom is obviously a training camp with however many rounds the Ray Longos of the world tell you to have is more ideal, right? But I'm just saying, there's not a lot of data suggesting he can't do this. So as far as I'm concerned, maybe not a fight that I would be running to the window to wager on. But don't dismiss Paul Felder because he hasn't had the requisite rounds, would be my amateur opinion.
Yeah, but he's got so much experience to draw from. I think that's the difference. If the guy had 2 fights, then I'm saying this is a bad thing. He understands. He likes to fight. It's like we were talking about Anderson Silva, and I know you guys were thinking, look, he looked great in the first round or 2. Yeah, nothing was really. He could do that till he's 60. I swear to God, there's no question in my mind. He's a super talented guy. You know what I mean? So you're going to have certain attributes that are going to carry you no matter what the situation is. You know what I mean? But Felder, I think Felder is a fighter. And I think again, it's not going to be something. Look, he's jumping in there. The motivation of just doing this like this could be more than enough for him to win this fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, you find a cause in something, and that's huge, man. It's huge. You know what I mean? Like, look, I Quint at a time, he didn't spar a round for Diego. Not a round. And I'm like, I wouldn't let anybody do it but him, because I know he's going to go in there and throw down. And look what happened. I knew Diego would stand up with him. If Diego started wrestling with him, it probably would have been more of a problem. But he stood up with him, and look, Al got the job done. That was with no sparring. And, I said, wow. If you go back and even look at after that thing, we're laughing in the ring. He goes, I can't, I don't even believe this. We're crying because I don't even say nothing to nobody. We'll say the story in the future, you know what I mean? But it's a true thing. Yeah.
There's been enough time removed to tell that story. I believe I've heard you say that before, but that is pretty incredible. And I think it dovetails with my point a little bit. No doubt Dos Anjos is a monster at 55.
Oh, without a doubt. Yes.
I think this is his 30th UFC appearance, right? But he's got to cut the weight, too. It's not just Felder, who is a naturally big lightweight, But it's very interesting because Dos Anjos was coming down to 155 pounds, and he was going to have to prove that he was still a top 5 guy, if not future champion, for a second time against the 18-1 Islam Makhachev. And he was going to do so as like a plus 400 underdog. Now he's like a 2-1 favorite, right? So on paper, right, this looks to be a much more winnable fight for Rafael dos Anjos than the one that he was walking into.
Yeah, and think of this, John. So we're saying he hasn't trained, he has no sparring, and still you think Dos Anjos is going to take him down. If he's believing that, he'll stand up with him. He'll say, "Look, he hasn't sparred. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he hasn't trained. I'll stand up. He's not going to do that. He's going to respect his striking. I guarantee you.
Yeah,
there's not going to be much of a difference. And after a couple of minutes, Felder's going to get that timing back. He's going to do a couple of reads on him. He's going to figure it out, and he'll take it from there. He'll have a great corner, I'm sure. He's got Duke coming down and stuff. And it should be good, man. I'm telling you. When you like the fight, it's a different story. It's all individual. But I say Felder's a guy who could get away with what he's doing. Yeah. Other guys, I would say no. Some guys even mentally will break down without the right training. I can't do it. I'm used to this. Yeah. Some guys are going to thrive on it. And I think he's one of those guys that's going to thrive on it.
Yeah, I do too. Don't underestimate the Philadelphia in that boy. I think he's a fighter's fighter and is really going to show out. And I think Dos Anjos will do the same. And nice little octagon for those guys to compete in on the weekend. We will see how it goes. It's interesting, on our podcast, Kenny Florian and Ian Parker both picked Makhachev over Dos Anjos, but now they have both picked RDA over Paul Felder. But you seem to like Paul at plus 155. The line has moved a little bit away from Paul towards Rafael dos Anjos. I did a poll and it seemed like 68% of people said they liked Paul Felder, but dos Anjos has not only held as the favorite, it's moved a little bit closer to RDA. So I don't know, man. It's a huge fight, and with respect to Islam Makhachev, who just might be the best lightweight in the world right now. This fight just feels huge because of the short notice circumstances and all the pageantry with Felder putting down the microphone, putting down the headset. And very nice, right? All in a bow for the UFC.
Listen, I'm telling you, the guy, look, I think Felder's a proud guy, too. He's not going away easy, John. There's no.
He has a daughter, right? He's going to go in there.
No, he's going to find a cause in his head to get behind, and he's going to power through this thing. There's no question in my mind.
So, all right, well, this was very exciting. So, potentially Merab and Raoni Barcelos, December 5th in Las Vegas. Either way, I'm excited because we'll stay 6 feet away. We'll be masked up. We'll do what we have to do. But I'm going to be in Vegas from December 2nd, I think, through the 14th. So, we'll have to figure something out. Maybe we'll smoke some marijuana together.
That'd be outstanding.
It's legal out there in Nevada, I guess. I don't know.
Why don't you interview me while I'm high, since I don't smoke that much? That should be interesting.
We'll do that.
Let's do that. I'll make a complete buffoon out of myself in front of everybody.
That is outstanding. That is outstanding. All right.
That you like.
I like that. Well, no, I like that you're so willingly agreeing to grab a headset and a microphone in that condition. I think that's great. So, so before we get out of here, and it's okay if you haven't checked out Bilal Muhammad's new show, Remember the Show, but he does this like game show within the show. The show is co-hosted by my twin brother, Jason Anik, who has hair longer than yours. And they do a game show within the show. And so tonight it's Frankie Edgar versus Chris Weidman.
Oh, so, man. No, I had no idea.
Yeah. So, they're still working out the tweaks, and Cody Merrow's at the controls, and they're still figuring out how to really hone it in perfectly. They're 5, 6, maybe 10 episodes in, I think, at this point in time. But I like the game show, man. It's like you have Dustin Poirier over Paul Felder a couple weeks ago, and tonight your boy Weidman from wherever the fuck he is in the Carolinas taking on the answer Frankie Edgar. So
now, this is live?
It's coming up in 8 minutes. It is absolutely live, much more live than the live to tape Anik and Florian podcast that can't get our ducks in a row. But no, they are live Thursdays, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So coming up in 5-8 minutes on our Anik and Florian podcast YouTube channel. So you're going to be on the game show, probably against Matt Serra in the future, whatever Bilal wants. But I'd imagine you're on his list of future. Man, people telling me they think I'm some sort of condition. I'm not. I'm sober tonight for Ray. Maybe I won't be in Vegas though.
No, you know what it is, man. You're not a night guy. You're a morning guy. When we hit
what it
night,
is.
you get the sleepy eye thing going. That's it. So
right.
they're taking that differently. But I think you're just like I'll be awake for another 5 hours. I'm not going. I'll be out of my mind.
Right.
1 o'clock in the morning, I'll be playing the guitar and singing, and nobody in my house will be sleeping, which is even weirder. So I love the night. I'm not a morning person. You're the opposite.
I wish my life afforded me the opportunity to be a night person, but yeah, no, I mean, I got probably an hour and a half left before I fall asleep watching the National Football League, but yeah, no, I've been up since, 5:30 a.m. 3 kids, good chance one of them's up pretty early,
You got to do what you got to do, man. This is your time.
So, well, thanks for indulging us. So you're at this point with the hair, have we not had a haircut since March? Is that
no, haven't. It's been about 8 months now. 7
so
months.
You got through an awkward phase about 2 weeks ago on the podcast. You complained about the hair. You seem to have emerged out the other side of that awkward phase now. No?
Yeah. I think I'm just too lazy at this point to do anything. I don't know. That's about it. I'm not. It's not nothing on purpose.
Well, because it's gonna bring you a lot of attention in Vegas as long as you're ready for that.
It'll be there in Vegas. I can guarantee. I'm not doing nothing in 3 weeks. Like again, I'm too lazy and I got too many things going on.
All right.
And mind you, they come to the gym and cut my hair, and I still can't do it. So whatever.
I think it looks great.
I think weird my old age.
Very weird. I wish you would go live on your Instagram tonight at 1 o'clock in the morning when you're playing the guitar and singing.
Oh.
Can you do that for us? No,
because my voice sucks. But
don't do that. Don't shave. I think the beard looks good as well. And I will leave you with this. So one of your Twitter followers saw you at Starbucks yesterday.
Yeah.
And he decided not to engage. He was going to wait outside Starbucks and see on the return if maybe you were receptive. But there was something that gave him pause. And you wrote back to him, next time, man, say hello.
100%. I love that Starbucks, number one, and I'm always in there. And number two, I'm that. You SOB put down I'm unapproachable. I'm the most approachable guy there is. But I think when I'm walking and I don't, I'm by myself, I probably look like a lunatic. So I don't blame him. But that's why I said next time, definitely say hello, because I enjoy all of the fan interaction.
Yeah. No, I was obviously being sarcastic. You're very approachable. It's not like you're Ray Longo looking for a fight. Actually, maybe you are, hoodie on, mask on.
No.
Longo looking for a fight.
No. Yeah. The other guy, Matt, used to send me out. If we were at a fight, he'd send me to go get him something because he didn't want to deal with anybody. And he does love the fans, but sometimes it's just he gets mobbed. So I used to have to do his dirty work every so often.
And you are getting increasingly mobbed. Certainly in Australia, you have to wear some disguise.
Australia, they're the best fans in the world, man. Those guys are the best.
Maybe we should be Maybe we should be looking for a licensing deal for the podcast in Australia. Forget you know.
I think somebody did that thing on Who's Nicer, the Canadians or the Australians, which was a funny bit, but I mean, it's true, man. I mean, they're both good. The Canadians are awesome and the Australians are awesome. Awesome. They're just great people, man.
Right. Americans don't necessarily get painted with that brush, but I think there are a lot of us that are nice.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm just saying, when you go overseas, you expect
I know.
You expect nothing really.
Yeah. I know.
You know.
I just feel like everybody.
I mean, I don't want to act like that after the guy at Starbucks just noticed me.
Right. No, I'm just saying everybody's banging on the Americans these days, especially Floridians. Even though I'm not a Floridian by birth, but living down here, Floridians are an easy target these days. But
your lineage actually goes back to Long Island, which I find fascinating. Dude, you can't do this. You look at you now. You're sweating. You're patting your head down. Why does Long Island wig you out so much? What is that?
Because
tell everybody your dad was from Long Island.
My dad is a New Yorker. He went to Seaford High School in Seaford, New York. Okay, I mean thank God. Well, no, because I was born in Boston, Massachusetts, at the Boston Lying In Hospital. Right, I lived the first 30 years of my life in Massachusetts, so I don't feel like I have New York blood. And about 25 episodes ago, you sort of alerted me to the fact that I had New York blood, and I never thought of myself as having New York blood. So my Boston blood gets boiling when you bring up the fact that maybe I got a little New York blood in there.
Think Kenny Buckner. Think
Bill Buckner, right? Yeah.
Oh, Bill Buckner.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'll think Kenny. You got Ken Flo on the brain stuff.
I had Ken Flo and Bill Buckner in the same thing. That's
right.
I combined them together.
That's beautiful. All right. Well, I hope when you're sleeping, one of your daughters or your wife doesn't come up and cut your hair because it looks great. I love you. I'll talk to you on Sunday or Monday, and we will recap Felder and Dos Anjos, and we'll see if you got this one right.
All right, let's do it, man.
Hey, thanks for hopping in, buddy. Have a good weekend, all right?
You too, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, there he is, Ray Longo, joining us live. Remember the show coming up in a minute over on the Anik and Florian podcast YouTube channel. Check it out. Yo, later.